I'll never forget the winter vacation we took as a family a few years ago. It was supposed to be a perfect getaway. Fresh mountain air, endless slopes, and cozy evenings by the fire. Instead, it became a memory I've carried with me ever since. One that still sends chills down my spine. My husband Daniel, our 2 children, Liam and Ella, and I had booked a week at a ski resort nestled deep in the Rockies. It was a picturesque setting, with thick snow carpeting the landscape and pine trees standing tall against the crisp blue sky. The resort itself was a sprawling lodge, blending rustic charm with modern amenities. We were all excited, especially Ella, who couldn't wait to try skiing for the first time. The first couple of days went as planned. Liam, being older and more daring, was quick to master the slopes, while Ella stuck to the bunny hill under Daniel's patient guidance. I was happy to lounge in the hot tub on the deck of our hotel, sipping hot chocolate and soaking in the serene view. But on the 3rd night, everything changed. It started while I was alone in the hot tub, letting the warm water soothe my tired muscles. The others were inside, playing a board game after dinner. The sky was a blanket of stars, and the forest beyond the hotel was still, almost unnaturally so. That's when I heard it, a soft, muffled sobbing. It sounded like a child's cry, faint but distinct. I froze, straining to hear more. The sound seemed to come from near the window of the hotel. I turned my head towards the window, and for a moment, I thought it was just condensation or a trick of the light. But then I saw it, a small handprint pressed against the frosted glass. It was unmistakably the hand of a child, small and delicate. The fingers splayed as if in desperation. My breath caught in my throat, and I scrambled out of the tub, wrapping a towel around myself. I approached the window, but there was nothing outside except the snowy expanse and the edge of the forest. When I went inside, I tried to shake off the feeling. Perhaps one of the kids had left the handprint earlier. Perhaps the crying was just the wind. I told myself it was nothing, but a lingering unease settled in my chest. That night, as I tucked Ella into bed, she looked at me with wide eyes and whispered, "Mommy, do you hear the crying?" My heart skipped a beat. "What crying?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "The little girl," Ella said. "She's sad because she's cold." I didn't know how to respond. I kissed her forehead and told her it was just her imagination, but I couldn't sleep that night. I lay awake, listening to the faint sobs that seemed to echo through the walls. The next day, I mentioned the handprint and the crying to Daniel. This time he frowned and suggested we keep an eye on things. "Maybe we should move to a room closer to the lodge tomorrow," he said. His shift in tone did little to ease my anxiety. Back at the hotel, I decided to investigate. I went to the window where I had seen the handprint and stood there in the dark, staring out at the snow. The forest beyond was still and silent. Suddenly, the crying started again, louder this time. It wasn't coming from outside, it was inside the hotel. I followed the sound down the hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. It led me to Ella's room. I pushed the door open and saw her sitting upright in bed, staring at the window. The handprint was there again, fresh and clear against the frost. Ella turned to me and said, "She's here, Mommy. She wants to come in." I grabbed Ella and ran out of the room, shouting for Daniel. He met me in the hallway, confused and alarmed. I explained everything, and we decided to pack up and leave immediately. We spent the rest of the night in the car, parked at the nearest town. The next morning, we returned to the lodge to collect our belongings. I asked one of the staff members about the little girl. She confirmed the story and said that some guests had reported strange occurrences over the years. As we drove away that morning, Ella suddenly whispered. She waved goodbye. Her words sent a chill through me, and when I glanced back at the hotel through the rearview mirror, I thought I saw a shadow near the window. But when I looked again, there was nothing. To this day, I still wonder if she found peace or if she's still there, waiting for someone to hear her cries. I've always loved winter, from the pristine white snowflakes to the thrilling skiing adventures across vast landscapes. As a child, winter was the time I felt most alive, sitting by the fire and listening to tales of snowy escapades. That love only grew with time. This year, I decided to turn Big Sky, Montana into the ultimate winter getaway. Joined by my best friend Ethan and his girlfriend Mia, The first day of skiing was absolutely wonderful. My friends and I conquered slopes blanketed in pristine white snow, our laughter echoing in the crisp mountain air. The sensation of gliding over snow, the cold wind brushing against our faces, and the majestic view of the natural landscape filled us all with joy and excitement. As night fell, we headed to a nearby bar close to the ski resort, where the warm glow of golden lights illuminated dark wooden walls, and live music played softly from a corner. Ethan recounted his first skiing failures, making Mia burst into laughter, while I raised my glass to celebrate the memorable moments. We talked about our plans for the next day and the famous ski trails I had long wanted to explore. By the time we returned, the snowflakes floated like feathers all around us. The next morning, Mia unexpectedly fell ill. Ethan decided to stay behind in the room to take care of her. Not wanting to waste a perfect day for skiing, I ventured out alone. At first, everything went smoothly. I chose the easiest trails to warm up and savor the tranquility as the afternoon sun dipped lower in the sky. But the urge for adventure grew stronger with each passing moment, as if every slope called for a greater challenge. Standing atop a ridge, I looked down at a densely forested area where the snow blanketed the trees in thick layers. A thrill of excitement coursed through me as I thought, this is exactly the challenge I've been looking for. Taking a deep breath, I launched myself downhill, snow spraying around me as my heart pounded with exhilaration. Little did I know this would be the biggest mistake of my life. As I sped down the slope, the snow-covered forest blurred into a deceptive mirage. Distracted by the breathtaking scenery, I lost control. A towering pine seemed to materialize out of nowhere. I couldn't dodge it in time, and the impact was brutal. My body slammed against the tree, my head taking the brunt of the collision. Everything went black. When I regained consciousness, the sky was painted in fiery hues of orange, and the forest was eerily silent. My head throbbed as I leaned against the tree for support, only to realize my phone had fallen a few feet away. Staggering over, I picked it up with trembling hands. Luckily, it still worked. I turned on Google Maps and found the location of the chairlift. That tiny glimmer of hope gave me the strength to keep moving. As darkness fell, the forest seemed to close in on me, the whispering wind amplifying the sense of isolation. I knew the temperature could drop dangerously fast, so I had to reach the chairlift as quickly as possible. Every step felt heavier, as if I was sinking deeper into the void. Then I heard it, a man's laughter, low and deliberate, echoing from the shadows. At first, I dismissed it as a hallucination brought on by my pounding headache, but when I glanced back, I saw it, a dark figure standing by a tall pine. It didn't move, yet its presence sent a wave of dread washing over me. Its silhouette resembled a man, but its features were obscured by the dim light. The shadow seemed to merge with the trees, unnaturally still, as though it was waiting and watching. My chest tightened with fear, my heart pounding so loudly it drowned out the forest's silence. I forced myself to keep going, convincing myself it was just my imagination. After a while, the shadow was gone. I dared to hope it had disappeared. But then the laughter returned, this time from above. Looking up, I saw it perched unnaturally among the branches, its twisted body contorted as if its joints had been broken and bent at impossible angles. Empty black eyes stared through me, their gaze piercing the air. Its wide, crooked grin revealed sharp, jagged teeth. Every tiny movement it made was accompanied by the grotesque sound of bones snapping, sending a chill crawling under my skin. I could feel its unseen gaze probing me, as if it were trying to read my thoughts and strip me bare of any defenses. That mocking smile seemed to say it knew I had no escape. My heart thundered in my chest, sweat freezing against my skin despite the icy air. The world around me fell silent, save for the sound of my own ragged breathing. My legs wobbled as I stumbled forward, the overwhelming sense of being hunted growing with every step. It was as though the creature controlled my every move, a predator toying with its prey. Desperation fueled my sprint toward the chairlift, the darkness around me swallowing every breath I took. The towering pines formed a labyrinth of snow-laden walls, their sheer height making the forest feel inescapable. It was as if all paths led to one inevitable confrontation I wasn't prepared to face. The wind howled through the trees, carrying faint echoes of that haunting laughter, sending shivers down my spine. Thankfully, I reached the chairlift just in time for the final ride. But as I sat there, the sense of relief was fleeting. The laughter lingered, faint yet relentless, as if the shadow had found a way to follow me, its presence woven into the very air around me. Safety, I realized, was nothing more than a fragile illusion.